The case began on May 27, 2017, when government announced through the then Minister of Information that 3 appointees of former President John Mahama were being investigated by the Bureau of National Investigations (BNI) for allegedly dipping their hands into the coffers of the National Communications Authority for $4 million, which they have failed to account for. The 3 appointees, according to the then Information Minister, conspired with a private citizen to commit the act. The appointees are Eugene Baffoe-Bonnie, former Board Chairman of the NCA, Mr. William Tevie, former Chief Executive Officer of the NCA, Alhaji Osman, former Deputy National Security Coordinator. The conspirator was said to be one George Opon, a businessman. According to government, the accused engaged in graft in connection with a contract between the Mahama administration and an Israeli company, NSO Group Technology Limited, in which the latter was to supply listening gadgets worth $6 million. The equipment were meant to help the government of Ghana monitor calls of suspected terrorists. In the course of the transaction, government said a local agent, Infralux Development Limited, charged $2 million as facilitation fee, bringing the total amount to $8 million. According to Mr. Hamid, National Security, which did not have the funds for the equipment, allowed the NCA, which supervises the use of such equipment, to fund the project. The NCA top officials, he revealed, withdrew $4 million from the NCA's kitty but gave only $1 million to the Israeli firm. The surplus, according to Mr. Hamid, was deposited into the personal account of Mr. George Opon, who fronted as an agent of Infralux Development Limited. He said Alhaji Osman orchestrated the entire deal. The Information Minister said demands by the Israeli firm to be paid the $5 million balance after the Mahama administration lost power in December 2016 prompted the new Akufo-Addo government to probe the transaction, after which the graft was detected. Given a breakdown on how the $3 million was shared, government alleged that Mr. Eugene Baffoe-Bonnie took $200,000, whilst George Opon took $100,000. William Tevie got $150,000, and Alhaji Osman received $70,000, while another person, Nana Owusu & Son, got $500,000. After several months of investigations into the case by the BNI, the state finally put 5 people before the Accra High Court for their various roles they had played in the purchase of the listening device. These 5 people included the former chairman of the board of NCA, Eugene Baffoe-Bonnie, the former Director-General, William Tetteh Tevie. Then we had another board member, Nana Owusu, then a Deputy National Security Coordinator, Alhaji Osman, and the businessman, Derek Opon. These are the 5 people who the state puts before the High Court. They were charged with conspiracy to willfully cause financial loss to the state. They were also charged with the contravention of the Public Procurement Act. They were charged with stealing and conspiracy to steal. These 5 people pleaded not guilty to all the charges leveled against them by the state. They believed that what the state had put against them could not stand and could not hold, and were ready to stand trial. After the first hearing of the case, they were granted bail by the High Court for them to be able to get back to their families and present to themselves to the court anytime they were needed. The case began with a litany of motions filed before the trial court. Some of these applications included issues of discoveries of evidence to be relied on in the case. This issue of discoveries landed at the Supreme Court, where the judges ruled that the state had to make available all evidence and documents they will rely on for the trial. The case continued with the prosecution calling 6 witnesses, namely Abna Safueje, Director of Legal Affairs at the NCA, Dr. Isaac Yao Eni, Deputy Director General in charge of Management and Operations, Colonel Michael Kojopoku, Director of Operations at National Security Secretariat, Duncan Opare, Deputy National Security Coordinator, and Detective Chief Inspector Michael Nkrumah, the investigator in the case. After a completion of the case against the accused persons, lawyers of the accused persons filed a submission of no case. According to them, the state failed in their attempt to prove the guilt of their clients. The 5 accused persons went one after the other to open their defense. They went through the process. They did not call any witnesses. They came in to testify on their own. Upon ending their opening of their defense and putting out what they needed to put out to defend themselves, the High Court, the Appeals Court, then came up with a ruling on one of the submission of no cases by one of the accused persons, Nana Owusu-Nsah, who is the 3rd accused person in the case. For Mr. Baffoe-Bonnie, he was given a 6-year sentence, whilst the 2 others were given a 5-year sentence each. They are also expected to pay an amount of $3 million. This $3 million, according to the court, the properties of these 3 people would need to be seized by the AG. Properties amounting to $3 million would need to be seized by the AG, so these proceeds could be made from them. The 3 are currently at the Nsawam prisons where they are being kept. The 5th person, who is Derek Opon, was let to go. He was found guilty. He was found not guilty on all the charges leveled against him. According to the judge in his ruling, the 5th accused person, Derek Opon, was just a businessman who was going around about his duties and did that without knowing the internal arrangements within the NCA.